Now, we had a beautiful passage that we read today, Bible passage, speaking about the eye, our eyes, and how they are the lamp of the body, and in fact a portal to our mind and soul. It's from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 6. The Lord said, the eye is the lamp of the body. So if your eye is sound, meaning healthy, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eye is not sound, that is healthy, your whole body will be full of darkness. Now, a bit of an explanation in how ancient societies understood how the body worked. And it's not how we understand with modern science how our body works necessarily. We know in the modern day that light is a manifestation of energy, and that our eyes respond to that light, pick up the signals of that energy and light. The ancients believed that there was light in us, like headlights, that there was light in us, that the eyes had light and would beam out light so that you can see, which is pretty interesting. And so that explains how Jesus phrased this sentence. The eye is the lamp of the body, not just for the eyes, but the whole body uses eyesight as its lamp to see, feel, and experience everything around the body, around us. So if your eye is sound, and I will look back at the Greek to compare what Greek word was used for sound and which Greek word was used for not sound in just a second. So if your eye is healthy, sound, okay, then the whole body will be full of light. You experience the world around you with the positivity. You see colour, you see people, everything that we experience through the eyes and our other senses, but the eyes are pretty much the sovereign of the senses. And on the contrary, if our eye is not sound, not healthy, not all okay, the body is affected. Jesus puts it in the words, your body is full of darkness. Your body is affected, our physicality is affected. Now, this is not to speak in absolute terms, because we know that blind people can find a different light and find meaning through their other senses. But it's a reference to the fact that, yes, when we do lose our eyesight or we lose part of our eyesight, it affects the rest of our body, not just our eyes. And finally, if then the light in you is darkness, so see, it's understood, like the ancients all understood, that the light that's in you, that's supposed to be beaming out, is actually darkness, then how great would be your overall darkness? Now let's go to the Greek words for sound and unsound. Απλούς, απλών. Most of us who might know a bit of modern Greek would say, well, hold on a second, απλών is simple. It's the word we use for simple. It does also mean simple, but it also means it is in full health. It's not affected, it's not complicated by any other suffering or ailment, right? So that explains why simple is the word chosen in the original Greek. Simple means it's what you were given. It's not overburdened with ailments. And that explains why unsound is poniros, or ophthalmos poniros. Most people render poniros as evil or cunning, and that is in some contexts the use of the word poniros. But here it is clearly the use of pain. Ponos is pain, that there is some harm that has occurred to our physical eyes, in this case, and therefore we are hurting, we are harmed, we are affected by the fact that our eyes are not fully healthy, are not aplum, apla, are not in their integrity as originally designed by God and through nature. So they're the two renditions of the words for healthy and unhealthy. Aplus means your eyes are in full, simple health, and poniros means your eyes are not in health and you're suffering from it as a result, with many consequences. Now Christ God used this example of our physical eyesight to then lead us into our other perception, our spiritual perception, our spiritual eyesight. Because he immediately goes on to speak about things that we see and we make them our God. He gets straight into, no one can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and Mammon. Mammon was the Aramaic Semitic god for money, the god of money. The ancient Greek equivalent is Plutos. Plutos, wealth, the god of wealth, Plutos. You cannot serve the true God and Plutos, wealth. Why? What happens here? Because we see what wealth can do for us, the good that wealth can do for us. It gives us stability, security, shelter, food on the table. That's all good. But our eyes see that. And the line that we often cross, most of humanity crosses, is that beyond our needs, we allow wealth and money and property to become our full focus of both our physical eyesight and our inner eyesight. That our wealth and property and the material things of this life become our priority, and more than our priority, the be-all and end-all, at the expense of what is spiritual. You cannot serve both God and Mammon. And so there will be a tug of war. He's telling us this. There will be a tug of war between our desire to be spiritual, good, in communion with God, and all that that entails, and what materiality and materialism does to us and our mind. There will be a tug of war. Those who are not taught that there is a tug of war in the first place will so easily fall into materialism. And unless you open up your inner eyesight and your inner senses and your inner perception to hear, listen, and learn a spiritual message, the message of the gospel, you don't even have a chance of recognizing the difference. You don't even have an opportunity to be told, you know what, just be careful. Take this path and not this path. If you don't ever hear that message, what are you going to do? You're going to fall into the default, and the default is materialism. You cannot serve God and mammon. And he goes on further and he says, do not be anxious about your life. How often does our desire to just be safe, just be secure, to just have enough for a rainy day, nothing wrong with that per se, but how often does that become a worry? How often does that become anxiety in our life? Truly, literally, anxiety to distress us. And we lose track once again of the fact that we are secure and somehow we're never enough secure in the back of our minds. We don't recognize that when we are secure, that we are secure. And we worry as though we have nothing. And what a great blessing it is to see sometimes, homeless people who have nothing, not worried about anything. They're instructive to us. They teach us a lesson. Not that they want to be in that position, of course, but they teach us. And I thank everyone who in the last few weeks has brought blankets as part of our blanket drive over the last month for the homeless and needy families. We collected about 50 blankets and we've already dispersed some of them, and we will do the rest this week. So I'll finish with this whole thing about anxiety and how we perceive the world around us. We are unnecessarily anxious. We worry about things we don't have to worry about. And Jesus teaches us that the fact that we worry speaks about our lack of faith. He's quite heavy in what he has to say. I'll skip a few bits, but he says, if God so clothes the grass of the field, which today is alive and tomorrow is thrown into the furnace, will he not much more clothe you, O people of little faith? He doesn't have political correctness. He doesn't say, let me not call them people of little faith. He certainly encourages us in this little sermon. This is part of his Sermon on the Mount. But he's also firm and he's also strong in making it clear what the truth is. Because if we have everything and we still worry about everything, that has to do with lack of faith. He finishes with, seek first God's kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things shall be yours as well. He's not saying go and become homeless. He's saying put things in the right priority. List them in the correct priority. Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. Get that all straight in terms of what you seek and desire, both with these senses and your inner sense, mind and reason. And the rest will be added to you. The rest will come. And definitely don't worry and don't be anxious about anything. And those of you who are watching on the live stream, before you forget, do please press the like button while you're there. Reason being that the way social media works is that for every positive reaction, and that includes likes, comments, and shares, they bump up the viewership to more subscribers. So we have 2,000 subscribers, but YouTube doesn't show it to all of them. They do it incrementally. It's by way of incentive that more contact and views happen. And basically what's popular and effective gets rewarded, and what is less popular and less effective gets downgraded in terms of viewership. So please, those of you who are online, just press all the buttons there except the dislike button.